we have running backs, receivers, even a quarterback, tight end to talk about, to go through and fix your fantasy football team off the waiver wire this week. But before we get into it, make sure, if you have not done so already, you go bet the lock of the week here. Now, I'm no mathematician, but I crunched the numbers. I got out my nifty little calculator here, and I think there's above a 50% chance that Cooper Kupp has over 1 receiving yard. So go make sure you take that over. Of course, you can find that on Underdog Fantasy, but only if you use promo code FLOCK. If you use another promo code, I'm sorry, it's not going to be available. Only if you use promo code FLOCK on Underdog Fantasy with the link in the description of this video or the link in the comment section, are you going to get a 100% deposit match up to $200 and get the Cooper Kupp special line for tonight's game against the 49ers. But that should be it. Make sure, if you have not done so already, go down there, drop a like on this video, subscribe to the channel, and make sure you go down there, go to the comment section. Let me know how stupid I am. Let me know your fantasy football questions. I'll try to answer as many as possible on this video. But let's go through. Let's dive into our first player. I mean, honestly, I'm tired of talking about this guy. He has been on our waiver wire video for week 2, week 3, week 4. I guess now he's going to be on week 5. Tyler Allgeier. I mean, here with Tyler Allgeier, he sees more snaps than Cordell Patterson this week. Now, keep in mind, Cordell Patterson's still the starting running back going forward for the Atlanta Falcons, or at least I'm assuming he is. My assumption with this situation right now is, Cordell Patterson dealt with a knee injury. It makes sense on why they would maybe instead scale Cordell Patterson back. Hopefully, for the sake of this offense, they're able to go through and use him as that every down player or close to full-time guys soon, because remember, with Cordell Patterson starting in week 2, you had Tyler Allgeier coming out and not leading the backfield in snaps, but he was a running back that was getting consistent looks, and it makes sense. We know this coaching staff with a 31-year-old running back in Cordell Patterson is not trying to go out there and overuse him. They're trying to preserve him for later on in the year. So Tyler Allgeier is going to have a small role on a week-to-week basis. And on top of this, with Cordell Patterson deal with the knee injury, if he were to miss, I think Tyler Allgeier would be someone you can put in your starting lineup. It's a running back that was actually a decent pass catcher coming out of college, which is a little bit surprising. But if we go down and look at that college target share, he does check a few boxes, doesn't have a ton of team investment, but he's athletic, has the size to be a 3-down player, can catch passes. Reality, oh my gosh, if Kyle Pitts isn't productive, maybe we can't rely on anybody here in Atlanta. But going over to our next offense, we're going to be looking at the Indianapolis Colts here, and obviously, Jonathan Taylor going down with what is believed to be a high ankle sprain. Now, I am really hoping that on Monday, we are getting an update with the Jonathan Taylor injury. But based on the initial report Sunday, sounds like this is going to be a high ankle sprain. We know high ankle sprain is about one of the toughest injuries you can see from a running back, knowing that we really have no idea when he's going to come back. I mean, you could maybe come through and say, Jonathan Taylor's going to be missing 8 weeks. Or you can say, Jonathan Taylor's going to be missing 2 weeks. He will miss time if it's a high ankle sprain. Don't think he's playing through a high ankle sprain, especially on a short week, playing on Thursday this week. If we're looking at the running backs here, you have Raheem Mostert as the obvious pickup. Raheem Mostert played every single snap when Jonathan Taylor went down at the end of the game, but keep in mind, the Indianapolis Colts were getting boat raced here, so you kind of had the obvious passing down scenario running back out there in Raheem Mostert. Now, Raheem Mostert is rostered in 62% of leagues, so it's not like you're going to be able to get him everywhere. So in those super deep formats, I think Deion Jackson is going to be someone that we have to go through and we have to look at. Now with Jackson, this is a running back that was undrafted in the 2021 class coming out of Duke. He's an okay athlete, ran a 4.42 40-yard dash at his pro day. He has adequate size, 5'11", 218. Not a good pass catcher, but that's going to be Raheem Mostert regardless. I mean, across the board, he was very inefficient at Duke, but keep in mind, playing at Duke, I don't think we're expecting you to be able to be in a great offensive environment. So I think what ends up happening here is Indianapolis probably expands Raheem Mostert's role by, say, about 3 or 4 carries per game. Deion Jackson ends up getting the majority of the work on first and second down, but in a full PPR format where the Indianapolis Colts look pretty bad. Looks like they're going to be trailing the majority of these games. Maybe Hines will be playable every week in a full PPR league. Only in a full PPR league where you don't have Jonathan Taylor. And Deion Jackson's going to be someone that you need to be picking up for those 16-team leagues. Now going over to another backfields. Let's go to Denver. I mean, you had Javonte Williams getting every single snap. Literally had almost 90% of the snaps in the first half for the Denver Broncos. Goes down with the knee injury, and then Melvin Gordon goes down. Melvin Gordon makes it back to the game. But he misses a small portion of it. So if we're looking at the snaps where Mike Boone played 19 snaps, we're looking at Melvin Gordon playing 10. If you look at Mike Boone, 3 carries, Melvin Gordon, 3 carries. Honestly, going to be a little bit deceiving here. I think Melvin Gordon would be the running back that we want with the knee injury to Javonte Williams. Now, at the time of this recording, all we know is Javonte Williams went down and was pretty much immediately ruled out of this game, was seen on crutches after the game as well. Hoping that we get some updates with Javonte Williams on Monday or Tuesday. We probably will with Javonte here. But I think I would prefer Melvin Gordon over Mike Boone. However, very similar situation in Indianapolis. Melvin Gordon rostered in 79% of leagues. So really only shallow formats are you actually able to go through and pick up Melvin Gordon. Where Mike Boone only rostered in 1% of formats. Mike Boone was a preseason darling back in the day for the Minnesota Vikings. I think that both guys deserve a roster spot. I'm a little bit more concerned about the Javonte Williams injury than the Jonathan Taylor, but you're probably going to know by the time we're watching this video about the timeline for Javonte. Now, our next running back, very similar to what we've been discussing with Tyler Allgeier. Literally has been on our waiver wire video for 3 weeks in a row now. Raheem Mostert, I don't know why he's only rostered in 50% of leagues. Like, the cutoff to make these videos is 50% of leagues or less. He comes out 15 carries in Miami this past week. You had Chase Edmonds with 5. You had Chase Edmonds as the running back as a pass catcher. I mean, obviously, Edmonds had the receiving touchdown. Edmonds almost had 2 receiving touchdowns. He almost had a much bigger day than he actually came away with. But I think Raheem Mostert is clearly the running back 1A to, it doesn't even really matter who's running back 1A, running back 1B. They're co-running back ones, a 50-50 backfield split in Miami. And if anything were to occur to Chase Edmonds, I think that all of a sudden Raheem Mostert probably sees a bump up with his overall workload, where maybe all of a sudden he is getting some involvement as a pass catcher to this backfield. Needs to be someone on your team. Now going over to someone who just played on Sunday night, Rachaad White here. With Rachaad White, hell, the coaching staff came out and said he needs to be more involved. He was one of the, if not the best pass-catching running backs in this year's NFL draft. And hell, that's exactly what happened. He ended up getting 24 snaps compared to Leonard Fournette at 39. Carries really don't matter at all. I mean, I saw a stat that the Tampa Bay Buccaneers had the fewest carries outside of maybe this team last year in NFL history, with only 6 combined carries, 39 receptions total for this team, 52 targets among these receivers, where you actually ended up with Rachaad White drawing 5 targets, 5 receptions, 50 receiving yards. Hell, you could have started Rachaad White this week in a full PPR format. So he does have that week-to-week role, and obviously upside for more if Leonard Fournette were to go down. But now going over to the Indianapolis Colts yet again, let's look at the tight end position, where in Indy, Alie-Cox, I mean, is the leading pass catcher here. He had 6 targets, 6 receptions, 85 receiving yards, and multiple receiving touchdowns as well. I mean, yes, Kylan Granson has been a tight end that's had some usage in the red zone this season, but Alie-Cox had the 26 routes run. He had the 45 snaps. He was the clear starting tight end here, with so many people desperate for tight ends right now. I wouldn't mind if you wanted to go grab Alie-Cox. And then a couple of quarterbacks I want to mention. Jared Goff, obviously, Jared Goff needs to be brought up. I mean, with no Amon-Ra St. Brown, no Jameson Williams, no DeAndre Swift, no DJ Chark, nobody here. Jared Goff, 378 passing yards, 4 passing touchdowns. Jared Goff has increased his passing volume every single week this year. 215 yards week 1, 256, then 277, and then 378. He's averaging 281 passing yards a game. He's had 11 passing touchdowns so far this season. I think we get both DJ Chark as well as Amon-Ra St. Brown relatively soon. And behind an elite offensive line, Jared Goff, very impressive. But Jared Goff, kind of cheating to put him on this video. He's rostered in 52% of leagues. But someone, if you're going to be in a deeper format to go pick up, go get Teddy Bridgewater. I mean, with Teddy Bridgewater, I know he didn't look great on Thursday night, but to be fair, he was thrust in that game halfway through. I mean, he wasn't planning on playing. I think that now that he has time to prepare as the starter for the Miami Dolphins here, hard to ask for a better situation if you have a coaching staff that clearly knows how to design an offense, and at the same time, you have Tyreek Hill, you have Jalen Waddle. So if you're playing in a deeper format, you can go pick up Teddy Bridgewater. Now let's go over to the wide receivers where we have some very high upside players. First guy, George Pickens. Super surprised to see George Pickens only rostered in 39% of leagues. Now with George Pickens here, I mean, he played 45 snaps, pretty much identical to what you had with Chase Claypool. However, he dominated the volume. So you would assume that nobody, and I repeat, nobody in Pittsburgh was viable, considering the fact they had a total of 204 passing yards. And y'all know I am a big Deontay Johnson fanboy. I mean, I've been coming through saying, oh, trade for Deontay Johnson, start Deontay Johnson. He's a must-start guy every single week. I have to sit here and take my L. I can't look at this situation where out of the 204 passing yards, George Pickens had 102 of them. George Pickens literally had 50% of the passing yards here in Pittsburgh. He was only behind Pat Freiermuth in targets. This was a wide receiver that had so much preseason hype, that had so much training camp hype, and he was a very good prospect coming out of Georgia. So I'm really surprised to see that he's only rostered in 39% of Yahoo leagues. I'm not telling you to pick up George Pickens and then go through and jam him into your starting lineup. Now, please don't be doing that. But with Kenny Pickett, I think there's a chance that he is better going forward if he is the starter here in Pittsburgh. I mean, if I were the Steelers, I'd probably feed Mitch Trubisky to the Wolves, aka the Buffalo Bills, this next week, and then let Kenny Pickett come in afterwards. But at the same time, I think Kenny Pickett will get better. He had 3 interceptions. One of the interceptions was literally just pure Hail Mary at the end of the half. The other 2 pretty much popped up 50-50 balls between the wide receiver and corner. It's one of those situations where wide receiver goes catch it, hits its hands, jumps up in the air, the corner falls on it. So it's not great. Like, I don't want to act like Kenny Pickett was good. No, Kenny Pickett was very bad, but I think he is going to be better going forward. And I think George Pickens can benefit where looks like he may be the wide receiver 1 here in Pittsburgh, even though, trust me, I'm rooting for it to be Deontay Johnson. With how many leagues I have Deontay Johnson on, don't want it to be Pickens, but hell, I can't ignore what's happening. Now going over to Dallas, let's look at an offense that has been very surprising. Cooper Rush, now 4-0 as a starter throughout his career in Dallas. CeeDee Lamb, 6 receptions, 97 receiving yards, and the receiving touchdown. Let's stop talking about this. Let's go to what we are here for. Let's go over to Michael Gallup. Now with Gallup, played less snaps than Noah Brown. Noah Brown, 48 snaps. Michael Gallup, 39. It was Gallup's first week back. This game was never competitive between the Washington Commanders and the Dallas Cowboys. With Michael Gallup, I mean, I don't love what we had with the underlying volume. He only had 3 targets, 2 receptions, 24 receiving yards. He did get the receiving touchdown. Obviously, that's going to be volatile, though. So I don't love what we had with the underlying volume, but just knowing that Michael Gallup is healthy and he is back on the football field, even if he's going to start a little bit slower, even if we're not going to be looking to start him anytime soon, he is going to need to be someone on your roster. Going back to his 2nd season in the NFL before CeeDee Lamb came over, Michael Gallup averaged more targets per game and more receiving yards per game than Amari Cooper in that same offense. Gallup is an incredibly talented player. They paid him a crap ton of money this offseason. I think he is someone that we can start in the long term when we get Dak Prescott back. He's only rostered in 41% of leagues, so let's go pick him up. Now, thank you for checking out the video. If you enjoyed it, please go down there, drop a like on this video, subscribe to the channel as well, and make sure you go take advantages on Underdog Fantasy Night. Promo code FLOCK. You can find the link in the live chat, find the link in the description. When you make that first deposit, they will also match it dollar for dollar up to 100. So make sure you go deposit $10 on Underdog, promo code FLOCK, have $20 in your account, bet that $20 on that Cooper Cup over. But thank you again. I appreciate you. Hope you have a great day, and hope we get to see you out with the live stream tonight.